Hey, this is Lynn Louise,
And I'm Ankhara Rose.
and this is the Cosmic Valkyrie Podcast.
Woo!
Hey, everyone. Today, Ankhara Rose and I are going to talk about handing over our personal authority because we've all done it. And it's one of the biggest things that I see happening in the coaching industry. And it really resonated with me when Ankhara said that she wanted to speak on it within my podcast. The one thing, if you all haven't heard our previous episode, I'm going to put a link to that for those of you in watching this on YouTube. But let's just go ahead and introduce Ankhara Rose again because she's going to be a consistent guest within the podcast. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, thanks. And by the way, I love chatting with you. We always have such great discussions, so I'm just super excited to be here. I'm Ankhara Rose. I'm the creator of a system called the Success Codex, which it's really a map of your genius in business. And I've been an entrepreneur and really an online entrepreneur for many years. And I've kind of seen the trends coming and going in the industry. I've fallen prey to a lot of the tricks, just like full transparency. And I don't consider myself like a shit starter or somebody who necessarily like enjoys calling things out for the sake of it, but I deeply care about the integrity of the industry that I'm a part of. And I also deeply care about helping people to be connected with themselves so they don't make the same mistakes that I made, and just to bring more awareness. And yeah, so that's really, what I'm so excited about with us doing these episodes is we get to kind of shine the light on things in a different way that maybe people weren't looking at them.
I agree. And we all have been there. And I think that's important for people to understand. One of the things that I think has happened in the industry as it's grown so dramatically in such a short period of time is witnessing unethical behavior from coaches themselves in the name of making more money. But we have been taught and conditioned for so long how to act and behave in society that sometimes it's to our detriment. And I think today's conversations are really going to be important for everyone to understand, like where some coaches are operating from, but also like our responsibility within all this.
Exactly. And I think that that's the part that really gets me excited is, when we have more awareness and we can see those patterns, we get to be more self-responsible. And the more people who are consciously bringing integrity to the industry, everyone wins. Everyone wins.
Exactly. Let's dive into this personal authority and our responsibility. And I want to discuss from my perspective, and I love your perspective on everything, but I'm going to share how we got here
Mhm.
first,
Great.
because I think it's really important to know how we got to handing over our personal power, and then we can talk about how we can reclaim it. And everyone who's been listening to me for a while knows that I talk about personal power and reclaiming our personal power, and I talk about reclaiming our luminosity. Today's conversation is strictly within the 3D. We're going to be talking about our personal authority and our personal power here on Earth. So, how we got to where we are in handing over our personal power and having people making decisions for us and relying on people answering our questions happened since birth. We have been taught to rely on other people to answer questions for us and to teach us the way and to guide us and to be like our authority, literally teachers, professors, pastors, all kinds of political representatives. We are taught to rely on them for solutions to creating our own life. And if you really absorb that information and understand that we have been conditioned since birth to look outside of ourselves for answers, it makes perfect sense why, when we enter into personal healing and the recovery and therapy and all that, that we're handing over everything and relying on a system that is kept us trapped in a paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. I even think about looking at myself in the past, and when I first got into therapy, it was the therapist's responsibility to heal me. Now, I'm not saying that therapist perception is that. My perception was this therapist is going to help me. And I quickly understood that no, it was my responsibility to heal. And that's why most of us continue on the journey that we have. When we realize that the answers aren't outside of us, it quickly becomes obvious that we need to take responsibility for it. So we've been taught it for generations, and especially women. We've been taught that the man holds the power. He's the decision maker. He's the one that's responsible for keeping us safe and alive and putting bacon on the table and all that kind of good stuff. So let's fucking destroy that today.
I want to share, like, I just have to dip into my story here because I feel like I came to giving my authority away in such a different, maybe like a different trajectory than others. I grew up with like a very progressive hippie mom who mistrusted authority so deeply that she raised me to listen to myself, to trust myself, to do what I love. And I actually spent the bulk of my life doing that. For me, I started to give my authority away when I decided I wanted to make my business, I'm air quoting here, like a real legitimate business. And all of my personal insecurities started to come up. And all of a sudden, someone who was always confident, and I want to talk about why this happened in a second, all of a sudden I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't trust myself. Somebody else has to have the answers. And I'm just gonna lay it out right here. I was marketed to believe that. That's it.
Oh my God, girl. Because here's the thing, in my audience, we're all strong, independent, free thinking women. I have women like me that like climb the corporate ladder, had the corner office, blah, 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 blah. All those things, even if that's not their background, they identify as strong, independent, free thinking women that are feminists and strong. And then we find ourselves, I did the same exact thing. Oh, that person has the answer for me. And we're taught that in marketing, like we market to their desires, but there's a way to do that ethically.
Right.
And when I first got involved and start taking a business online, I did the same thing.
Same.
I just was like, oh, they have the answer. And it just compiled every year upon that. Like it lasted longer than a year that I was searching and looking outside of myself for the solutions to the success that I needed. Can I ask you, like, what are some things that you remember hearing in marketing from coaches that made you think that you didn't have the answer?
Whew, I feel like there's so much, and I think like I always say, it comes to, like, if you want to not fall prey to the industry, just study marketing, because once you see the pattern of how you're being sold to, you can't unsee it. I was not aware, but there's kind of a marketing technique out there where someone points out, they say what you want, what you're doing wrong, right? And then they say, but what you really need is what I have. But it's like simple sales psychology, right?
Yeah.
But what was happening was I just kept on feeling that like I needed, that training. I didn't let part of it was skills, right? Like, oh, I don't have that skill. I need to learn that skill. But I was also coming out of many years from the spiritual and the sacred space. And so I was also buying into this message of you don't have to do any work to be successful. You can just manifest everything that you want in your business. So I can't tell you how much money I spent on programs that were promising the magic pill. And I don't blame them, right? It was my internal state of believing that what I needed was outside of myself. But I mean, I tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And that is the common story for most of my clients as well.
Yeah, yeah, like 80K. I've spent, 50K.
Mhm.
I was in the same boat. And I think it's really important for women to understand that you do need the skill set of an entrepreneur. That is absolutely true. But from my experience and my experience in corporate America, I can tell you that you can take one program and know everything you need to know about selling a product. Like you can read some books, you can get some great, you can get into a good um, business strategy program. Most of them are marketing, though,
Right.
and they're marketing themselves as business coaches. So it's really important to identify where your gap is before jumping into another skill set. Like really testing out your skill set in the market is going to be important. You do need that skill set, hands down.
Yeah.
But it becomes a problem when we are in a state of self-doubt and we're like, I'm not enough. I'm not doing enough. I don't, I'm not participating enough in my business. And then that's when we start chasing and handing over and going, oh, they have the answer. That one has the answer. That one's telling me different. Girl, I don't know how many programs I joined that they were telling me they had the magic answer. And I got inside and I already knew the shit. Hands up, how many times have you joined a program that taught the exact same thing that you learned in other programs?
If I told you how many email marketing programs I've taken, you would, fall over on your chair. I literally consciously signed up for the same thing again and again because it either wasn't what I needed or I just didn't do the work when I bought it. That's another thing, right? Like I do think that there's a pattern of when I hand my authority over to somebody else to give me this magic pill, I take the program, right? This is me, I, you, we take the program and because we're waiting for someone else to do it for us, we're not actually applying it and taking action with it. The other thing
Living
that happens, yeah,
in integrity.
yeah.
This, I heard this statistic years ago. It said something like 86% of all people that buy coaching programs don't finish them.
Oh yeah. And take a look at I think it's something gross, like between 2 and 5% of people who take like a self-paced program finish them. 2 to 5%, and that's it. Right? So there's something going on, right? We're sold a thing. We think it's going to be the answer. We get into it. Listen, I'm going to admit I'm a little bit of like a course snob. I have a master's in education. I know the difference between a well-crafted course and program and not. 95% of what I've taken has not been well-crafted.
Oh, I
Right. And so
agree.
that's also like, I don't want to keep going because it's just not designed well.
I paid 18K for a program that was her talking at me on Zoom videos, and it was doing breath work. This is somebody that was trying to teach me how to excel my business. So, she was making multiple millions, I think. Let's put
Right.
that in quotations,
Yes.
okay?
Yep.
Because I never saw evidence of it. But, and I just couldn't finish it. I was like, she's teaching me how to do breath work when I'm a master certified hypnotist.
Right. Right.
I was like, she's not going to get me where I need to go. And I don't need any more mindset work. I don't need any more breath work. If I'm going to join a mastermind, it's a skill set.
Yeah.
And I don't even join that type of master. Now I'm to the point where I don't even need a skill set. That's why I created E10X. I want to be surrounded by women that are just as driven, that get it and just want to like excel and like blow the roof off of this freaking glass ceiling that we have been constricted by even outside of the corporate industries.
Oh yeah.
We don't believe that we have this idea of what it will take to create $1 million business. And what will that million? And it's going to stress, anxiety, overwhelm. Yeah. So what is it, in your opinion, what does it take to reclaim that personal power here when it comes to being able to choose wisely
Yeah.
and not get caught up, before you answer that, in the cult-like behavior that's going on in the coaching industry? It is rampant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will tell you what I did, which was I set a boundary for myself and I took a year, and I said, the next year, I am not going to sign up for a single program, because the chances are, if you're like us and you've taken multiple programs, you probably actually have everything that you need already in the programs that you've signed up for. So I just made the decision. So, for me, I had spent so much, I really just spent so much money. It was a financial thing. When I actually sat down and I looked at, I was spending, almost as much as I was earning on all these programs and not really getting a return of investment. And I said, this is out of balance. I'm not being discerning with what I'm signing up for. So I made that decision. I'm going to take a break, a conscious break. It's almost like a vow of celibacy. A vow of celibacy. I'm not going to sign up for anything. And then the other thing that I did was I got my ass off of social media. I started to unfollow the people who I would see their posts and see their lives, and I felt like I was doing something wrong, or that I wasn't enough, or that I was missing something. I got them out of my field, because what I realize is there's no discernment if I am being flooded with messaging from the outside.
I see so often coaches that are handing over their personal power, then they begin to mimic the person that
Yeah.
they are like hero worshiping,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they think that because they're making millions, if they do the same, when coaches like me say, you know, look at what somebody else is doing and then be the characteristics of being, that's not saying
No.
mimic what they're doing. It's saying have the characteristics like committed, integral, really
Yep.
prioritizing their business. But so many times I see them mimicking what they're doing and it's in their branding, like the
Oh, yeah.
same photo style, the same words, the same. Yeah. And it's like, I think I didn't do that, but I'm like, what a great idea to not participate in their social media so that you can really define who you are as a person. I think we've all done it, like seen a post that was really good back in the day, and then you're like, how can I reword that and make it into my own? It's like, even that is out of alignment, girl.
I mean,
Like,
some people don't even reword it. Some people
oh,
just
oh,
some
I
people just
know.
copy it. Yeah, yeah. I think that what's coming up for me around this, let me just share this one piece, right? So like with my educational background and like what I understand about learning is there is an important step in learning where we're modeling.
Mhm.
Right. So I do want to say that, like, when we are learning a new skill from someone, when we're learning something, it's normal to want to try it on and to test it out and to see what it feels like. The problem is when we think that that's who we have to be and how we have to do it, right? And that was what was going on with me. Because, like I said, like we were talking about, joined so many different programs. I also joined programs that were completely contradictory to each other. And so it caused a lot of confusion. And the more that I would try something on, and if it didn't fit, I would jump ship instead of refining. So that was a
Mm.
pattern, right? And then I would find some other authority to follow. That was what my pattern was.
I so what I hear here is, and I think this will resonate with a lot of women, is that every program, and I felt the same way at the beginning until my husband told me this analogy, and I was like, oh, and now I say it all the time. you're looking for the recipe. You're looking for the step-by-step recipe and this is like so much in formulas, messaging formulas and stuff. So you're looking for that recipe, you're going to use that recipe, and then it's going to create success. Growing a business and growing success in your business is not following a recipe, it's developing one. So you can take the elements from all of those programs that you did, and then you can try them on for size and see where they fit and where they taste good. And then you can continue that. Developing a business is like developing a recipe. There is no clear cut one way. You have to figure it out for yourself. And I think handing over our authority is saying, oh, this coach has the answer, but also their formula is the formula, the ingredients that I'm going to use, and I'm going to put it together the way they told me, and it's going to create success. When we step into the role as the executive chef of our business and we're creating in a way that feels good and resonates with us, then we're able to really reclaim our own power within our business and say, oh, this is where I always say you got to refine and reflect. This is working. This isn't. And really being conscious about where we say, this doesn't feel aligned, because I hear that excuse a lot. No, that doesn't. Okay, it's never going to feel fucking aligned in business, because business ownership is always uncomfortable. You're always going to be on that verge of uncomfort because you're doing something new and your brain doesn't like it.
Right. And it's always evolving. So it's never going to be comfortable. And it's not aligned because you haven't
done it enough.
Stepped into it yet. Right? Alignment, like we get aligned. It's not permanent. It's
I think alignment comes through confidence. Confidence comes through competence. Doing something over and over and over enough that you become confident in it and you become comfortable, and then it feels like it's an alignment.
Right. And then if you are committed to the path of evolution and growth, that confidence and that competence, well, then you stretch into that next thing and you get a little wobbly again. And I think that what happens is a lot of us, we panic when we feel the wobble, and we make up stories subconsciously or consciously that this isn't working. And I love to tell my clients, is it not working or is it not working yet? Right? Because I was a jump shipper. I was someone who would like, I don't know, let me just go over there. Let me just like a little shiny object syndrome. Is it not working or is it not working yet? Who do you have to be to really see? And how much time do you think it would take, right? We have to put on this kind of, like you say, the CEO hat. We have to be the CEO and the strategist. And we have to tap into our patience, which is not encouraged in this industry, because this shit takes time. I don't care who you are, it takes time. The answers, everything doesn't come instantaneously. I want to just circle back for 1 second, right? Because there's this phrase that I tell my clients all the time, which is any strategy can work, but not any strategy can work for you, right? And so in the industry where we are sold these cookie cutter strategies, right? These coaches who are amazing at working one-on-one potentially, but you can't tell everyone, right? Like if I'm working one-on-one with you, I can help you to develop a strategy that works for you. If I'm working with 50 people, I have to get super general. And what do these coaches do when they're getting general? They share what works for them.
And a lot of them drill in that it's the only way. It's this way, it's my way or the highway.
Exactly. And it's just not helpful.
No, it's not.
For a lot of us. And here's what I see happen. I see people buying into that message, and I see one of two things happen. Either they go full in and they take on the persona and they do all the steps and they put it to work, and it works really, really well until it doesn't. Because it's not sustainable, because it has nothing to do with them, right? So that's one path. And I have a lot of clients who come to me after they've made 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, and they're like, I'm burning it all down, my friend, because I can't do it.
And it's like, don't burn it down yet. Don't burn it down yet.
It's like, wait, let's refine. But for some of them, they literally have to. because
Um,
it is so unsustainable for their energy, for their and
their
so
personal
antithetical to what
frequency.
they why they even went into it, right? Like the if they don't want to hustle and they built their whole business out of hustle, okay. Sorry, there's a
Then you
lawnmower.
send them to me because then I can tell them how to not hustle.
Yes. I know you're the queen of that, and I love you for it. But the other thing I see is it doesn't work, and instead of uh, people saying, "Oh, well, maybe the strategy is not right for me," they say, "What the hell is wrong with
Wrong with
me?
me.
It's working for them, and it's working for them." But P.S. Everyone on social media is showing you what works. Okay, they're all showing you like the end, right? Even people who say like, "Oh, this is my quantum leap." No, your quantum leap. First of all, quantum is very tiny.
I
Quantum
know
means
that. Thank
minuscule.
you.
Okay, right? So
Thank
this is
you.
teeny tiny compounding steps over time, over time. But we look at the finished product and we're like, wow, they made $1 million in 3 weeks. No, they didn't.
How many years did it take them to get to that 3 weeks?
That's it. That's it.
4 years,
Right.
7 years.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I think about James Wedmore. I love him. He's a good guy. And he like went through all these stages and he's like, yeah, it took me, 1 year to hit 1 million after I'd worked in it for 10 years. Right. Like how long? And
Exactly.
I will be complete. I'm always transparent about my shit. So those that have listened, I have a successful hypnosis practice and that's where all my energy has gone towards that for years. And so now I'm working on E10X and that takes a dynamic shift. It's not comfortable. And, you know, I think about, I have still, I have little things where I want to retreat back and not go forward into creating the same income in E10X. But, because I'm like, oh, am I going to have to sacrifice my hypnosis practice? What am I going to have to do different? Oh my God, is this going to be worth it? We have all those beliefs that come up. What do I need to do different? Do I need to find another strategy coach? No, Lynn, stop. You got this, right? Like that's why you have the E10X. But I, it, I tell people like, for me to make mid six figures in my hypnosis practice didn't take me 2 years. It took me longer, y'all. It took me like 5 years to get it there. But by 2 years ago, it was easier to level that up to that point. And 150 isn't, and I'm showing 150 in your business. It doesn't take a lot of work to get there. It doesn't take a lot of time and energy with, just being able to understand the bigger picture and see the bigger picture. But it all takes, it does take knowing what you're watching. So let's wrap it up on this because I
Yeah.
think you brought up some really good points and action steps for everyone. The first thing is to understand that you already have everything that you need to create the success that you desire. So put up a boundary and stop investing in another program, another skill set, unless it is a gap that needs to be filled because we all have gaps. So really, I think taking a beat and evaluating what you already know is a really good thing.
Yeah, that's the first
So,
step, I think, right? It's
yeah,
like first evaluate like, yeah, have I already bought the program that I need? Is there a legitimate gap that I can't move forward without?
yeah.
Or is
And
this just like a little extra thing that
have
like I
I
can make
finished
myself?
that program?
Have I finished the program?
Have I, like, if you have a program that you haven't finished, go back and watch it, even if it's on double time. Go finish it, finish that program. I've always been really good at like finishing programs. My dad was military, so he's always like, finish what you start. So I was always good at that. So evaluate. And y'all don't be afraid to write a flow chart of what you know. Make lists of what you've already learned, what you already know, so that you can start identifying your gaps. Okay. So if you don't have the skill set, then you'll know where it is. And I'll give you 3 places to look when it comes to skill set. Are you getting the leads in every week? Like how many fresh leads are you getting weekly to put into your sales funnel? So are the leads coming in? Once the leads are in, Are they downloading your stuff? Are they clicking through your emails? Are they doing all those things? Are they getting on calls with you? And then the third stage in that is, are you closing the sale? So identify where in the sales process those your weak link is, and then you'll be able to identify where you need to look within what you already know to really get better at that. Sorry if everyone can hear the dogs next door barking. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing to do is trust yourself, be patient with yourself, and just stop looking at learning more and start implementing what you already know. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the last thing that I'll say is don't be afraid to unfollow or temporarily mute people who reinforce the belief that you're not ready. Because we're
Ah,
never ready. We're ready in action. Okay. We put our feet forward and the ground appears underneath. So do what you need to do to protect your energy from being influenced by, by marketing that tells you that you're not, that you don't have it yet. Right? It's part
ooh,
of the discernment. You can come back to it. I've started to follow some of the people who I unfollowed, but I had to be true to myself first. And we will talk about this on another episode, but the other piece is like beginning to explore who are you and what are those gifts? What is that genius? That's what I do with the Success Codex. It's a map of these things. And that's another way that you can anchor into who you are. So you're not as susceptible to the shiny object syndrome or that you're not enough. You
I
need
love
this.
it because both of us are coaches that are helping women like really step into their power. We're not like, hey, we're the hero worship me, or like I have all the answers. It's like, no, 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 no. I'm going to show you how to take who you are and what you are and really create magic in this world. And I
Yeah,
think those are the type of people to really look at and really follow, people that aren't telling you they have the answer, but telling you that you already have the answer.
that's right. That's right. And just notice how you feel, right? Your body's going to tell you when you're looking at that stuff. And you got this, guys. Like you really do. Come reach out to us if you need support with that. But
Awesome. Okay, y'all, have a great week.